Got the 8.1 liter, and it's the Chevy Avalanche. It's making like a crazy noise when you decel, and I'll go a little bit more in detail, but I just want to get the noise so it's heard. Let's see if I can get up here and start decreasing the speed. You can hear a little bit of the wheel bearing going out, but that's nothing major. So let me decel. Watch the RPMs drop, and then the noise starts. There we go. Just a whirling noise, sound like blower motors activating. So I get a little more speed. It's coming from like in the middle, like the transmission tunnel. So get the RPM to drop, it'll do it again. I mean, it just sounds like a blower motor's activated. But if you give it the slightest bit of throttle before the torque converter engages, the noise will kind of go in and out. So, but once you start putting the engine back under a load and the torque converter activates, the noise stops. It only manifests after the torque converter disengages and it goes into a neutral idle state from a particular speed above 40. So I'm gonna get in the garage, jack the rear wheels up, and look at some scan data. It's a possibility that there's probably something on the four-wheel drive. I doubt it, but it just doesn't make sense for the transfer case to cause these issues under idle conditions when it could be. But then again, it doesn't seem like it will be because it rotates. You know, four-wheel drive's not activating. If there was like any issues with the transfer case, it'll go into a neutral state because the shaft will be broken, or it would be like a bearing that's moaning, roaring under just normal rotating conditions. So it's not something in a transfer case, but I don't know yet. I really think it's a torque converter. Reasons being, that's the only thing in common when it's under a load versus when it's under idle conditions. So we'll jack it up and then we'll see what's under there. Got the truck jacked up. There's smoke coming from underneath a vent tube. It's gonna be a little loud. See that little vent tube down there, a little bowl. I'm gonna pull the transmission dipstick and see if it's coming out of here also. And it's not. The transfer case is burning up. Smoke coming right there from the transfer case. These are notorious for leaking here anyway, so, but yeah, the transfer case is burning up, so it makes sense now. I mean, it's sorta, but I really was under the impression that it was going to be the torque converter, being that the torque converter will disengage, and then based on the fluid passage, I assumed that it was going to be something internal with the torque converter. I guess it's good that I'm wrong. I put this transfer case in like a year ago. We had a problem with transfer case before, and I wish we would have put a reman unit in there and been done with it, but yeah. It's life, right? But strange that happened. I never experienced those symptoms before with a transfer case, and I'm But at the same time, I'm still pretty young. Really never worked on a lot of four-wheel drive vehicles. So that's another thing. What was going on when I first jacked it up and got the wheels rotating, the front drive shaft was rotating also in two-wheel drive mode. It's not supposed to do that. So that's another indication that there was some kind of faulty issue going on inside that transfer case. I never seen that happen before as far as the smoke coming out the breather or the vent tube. But, you know, I guess we work on cars long enough, we pound the experience about anything. I did look at PID data when I first got this truck a while ago. It was about 2 weeks ago. It was here, and I was diagnosing it, and because he had that strange noise manifest. Looked at PID data. There wasn't anything activating in the four-wheel drive system, so I just simply just overlooked it. I'm like, yeah, let's just bring it back. I'm gonna look more into it, but I told him let's just change the fluid in the transmission. But I doubted myself because I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And once I got it this morning, looked more further into it after I did a little bit of pre-planning of not having it, and this is in fact a transfer case issue. This is not gonna be a repair video. It's pretty obvious the transfer case is burning up. But as far as the symptoms for anyone that's out there is having those, I've never experienced before. It was like a whirling noise under decel conditions. So when you let off the gas, the whirling noise will manifest, and I hope it shows up pretty well on the camera here, for the audio. It would, the front drive shaft would rotate in two-wheel drive mode, but it didn't lock up the front because there's another servo motor in the front here that locks up the four-wheel drive, if I recall properly. That's why I didn't stay in four-wheel drive mode. So the whirling noise while decelling, the front drive shaft is rotating, and the third issue, of course, was a dead giveaway, the smoke coming from the vent tube. So yeah, I pulled the dipstick for the transmission. Wasn't the cause of it. There was no smoke coming from there because I know that has a vent tube also. And looked on the transfer case, the smoke is all around there. But so I'll be giving a customer a call, letting them know that we should go ahead and put a new transfer case in here. And I did inform him a while ago that it could possibly be that, but I wasn't conclusive. This is like definitely. So it ain't so bad like the fourth time around. Put it that way. Should have went with the reman originally and would not have had these problems right now. So I shouldn't have put a used unit in there. But the thing is, when the customer comes in with a budget, you try to stick to the budget and try to work things out. But you know, it seemed like it cost more money in the long run. And in hindsight, I should have just stuck to it, what I wanted to do initially, and put a reman unit in here so you have that 3-year warranty. But live and learn, and I guess we keep on going. Oh gosh, I'll tell you what's funny. You know, jobs come in clusters because just having to diagnose a four-wheel drive truck, and I had one a week earlier, and this been sitting here. This is a 04 Chevy Tahoe who had four-wheel drive problems, and I already had to diagnose a encoder motor. So I guess I'll try to make 2 videos into one, and hey, let's talk about it, alright? But brief history on this 04 Tahoe. The customer had some issues with four-wheel drive, engaging, disengaging. So somebody diagnosed it and said, hey, that's the encoder motor. Alright, customer wanted to buy his own encoder motor, wanted it put in at like 8 o'clock at night. I'm not doing that. I'm like 9 to 5 now, so not happening. And I informed him, like, when I put it on here, there's not going to be any warranty. Put it off for a week, came back, like, hey, I'm going to drop the truck off. Here we are. The truck was dropped off. I did what he wanted. I put the part on. And the truck was going in and out of four-wheel drive initially when he brought it was a problem. And when I put the part on, it got stuck in four-wheel drive. And then we had codes. C0307 manifested as a result of putting this on, the new part from Amazon. So, yeah. Truck was stuck in four-wheel drive. Told him to pick the truck up. Paid the money. And, you know, of course, he couldn't leave and drive it because it was stuck in four-wheel drive. I mean, I put what he wanted on there, and this is what we got. I told him it was going to cost X amount of dollars to diagnose it. Because, you know, naturally we will overlook new parts, right? You put a new part on there, it don't, you know, it might not be the part itself, but I've known just from experience that you put a new part on, don't negate the new part. New parts break. So, pay the diagnostic fee, wind up diagnosing it. The new part's bad. It wound up being the position sensor ring. Excuse me. So, how I determined that was looking at live data. I did do a little bit of disassembling. So what happens when get out of here. So when this encoder ring gets out of get into a certain realm in the position, it's going to become invalid and non-operative. And that's why it needs to be in the specific mark, a specific position when you install it. And it comes with this little tool here. So, long story short, the other one had a code in regards to the motor being faulty. I took 2 and 2 and made 1. And the system works fine now, completely operative. I want to, excuse me. I want to make things a little bit educational, and there's really no diagnostic video on this, really. It just shows that you can replace this part, and why. So, I'm going to give you what I did, what went on, and we're going to go through the wiring integrity. So, just bear with me, and we're going to go through the pins A through H on here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I think it's A through H. So we're going to test all the wiring integrity here to make sure that we got some type of value, continuity, and that'll, this system works. So whoever has issues with their system and want to diagnose it, you have a fully functioning system right here. So the one I'm working on is fully functional. Everything operates. So we'll just go through the wiring and the alphabetical sequential lettering and put a value to a face there. So we'll have the alphabet, and then we'll have the corresponding with the pin, and we'll have a value. So let's hop under there and key on, engine off, and do some wire testing. Let me get set up here. I'm going to use my fluke and get this on direct current. I'm going to have an alligator clip grounded to chassis, to the transfer case, and have the other end probed on my community. Let's see here. Alright, I'm going to take my red probe here. Key is going to be on, engine off. I'm going to make sure of that because I will screw up. Alright, key on, engine off. Looking at the connector here, this is the connector going to the main harness, not the transfer case. So this is going to the transmission control module. Alright. Looking at the connector, you're going to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Alright, so I'm not going to give you the wiring color because I'm pretty sure that could vary from what you could see because it looks pretty old. But you know how I am, I'll say what I'm going to do and totally change up. So, alright, key on, engine off. A right here is going to be our 5-volt reference. So we should have 5 volts. We do. This is supposed to be a light orange and black. I'm sorry, light green and black. B, it's going to be the black and white. See, like, that's why I don't want to give colors. Let me screw up. So A, 5-volt reference. B, the brown and white is going to be the encoder signal. Okay, now I could use a ohm meter and we can get a resistance value. So it's one mega ohm. Alright, so you can use that as like a point of reference. I don't know the scale, but we do have other options as far as seeing the system's grounded out, is changing that over and checking for ground size. So we can put this on 12 volts and then see if those other circuits are grounded out, at least so we have some type of continuity. So 5-volt reference, encoder signal. C is going to be the black and white, which is going to be the encoder low voltage reference. That's like a little value there, but I mean, again, I could use the resistance value so you can get an idea, since it's going to the transmission control module. We got 26 ohms there, so you're not going to get a value, but you got a resistance value from a functioning unit. A, B, C, D is going to be the black wire, and that's going to be the motor control circuit A. You're going to have like a low voltage reference signal, excuse me, 1.6 volts there, being that it's a like MOSFET or transistor type switch. So that is normal to have like some type of voltage signal, being that it is circuit controlled. And so you're going to have, let's go here. So that was D. E is going to be the black. E is going to be red, sorry. That's going to be motor control circuit. B, same. You have a low voltage reference. This is pulse width modulated. That's why it's fluctuating like that. So it's like it's oscillating. So I'm pretty sure on the oscilloscope we'll see some type of oscillation. I'm pretty sure this is probably like, I'm pretty sure both of these are pulse width modulated. But we do have oscillation, obviously. Don't hold me on that. We just have a value here. We have oscillation. So something's happening. And again, this is a functioning unit. So moving on to F, it's going to be the orange, and that's the battery voltage positive. So we should have 12 volts here, which we have close to 12 volts. Moving on to the lock control solenoid. That is that device that sits on the back of the motor that ensures that the solenoid is locked in place. Not the solenoid, but the motor is locked in place when it engages in the gear, if I recall properly. And of course that's no value, but we can go to resistance, and let's see what the value becomes. And we got 287 kilo ohms. Now what I'll do, switch this from just go straight to the 12 volt side of the circuit here and check those other low voltage reference and see if there's voltage. Like it'll be like a ground basically. Let's see here. Let's go to. Did it work? Did it work? Is it gonna work? Oh, it's not gonna work because let me swap these. Stay there. Oh, so stupid. This is why it's not working. I tell you what, ain't that bright. This is color stupidity. Right. So we got that. Here we go. All right, that's why we weren't getting the value. I wasn't on DC voltage. So we're gonna check that low side reference. This is basically like a voltage drop. That's the 5 volt reference minus the 11 volts that it produced. So we got 10 volts here. We should have close to 10 volts, 11 volts. Now this one should be like 9 volts because of the voltage drop. Yep. And this also should be like 9 volts. So those are resistant circuits. Like so, yeah. And then this one should be 11 volts. So I mean, it just shows that you got continuity there. I mean, again, those transistors are resistors, and they're going to reduce the voltage. So you're not going to have 12 volts. So that doesn't indicate a problem. This is a functioning unit again. So this is just, these are fully operational type values that you would get if you was to want to narrow down the encoder motor being the problem. So it's, at least this is a reference. This system works. What you can do is to check for operation is back probe the red wire going to the control circuit, and I got the other side grounded out. So I'm going to hit the different modes and see if it sends a pulse width modulated signal to the control circuit. So it's going to be really quick when it grounds, well, not grounds out, but when it sends voltage. So this is the benefit of having a scope. At least you can see what's happening. One thing you can do with the multimeter here is hit range and like hit a maximum range if you're by yourself. What the hell did I just do? Maximum and minimum right there. So I'm gonna put minimum, maximum, and I should be able to hold and reset it. Did it work? Oh. Okay, I think that's good right there. Let's hit it. All right, so I'm by myself, so I was able to do like a peak hold for max, and this is my value here. It transitioned, it caught it, and let's see if I can clear it there. So yeah, just hold it and it'll clear it. But that's another way. So if you're by yourself, pierce one of the wires and you only got a multimeter, you don't have a oscilloscope, max it out. Hit the buttons to where it'll take a max value. I'm going to hit it again, get the value. And it caught it just as fast as it did. It took a maximum value. Thing you can do, like, I don't have any, I'm pretty sure I got fault codes in there now. The lights come on and they go off immediately. If you try clearing the codes, they don't come back. Try going under here and disconnecting the module itself and reconnecting it to restore operation. Now the module is going to reside right in the back here. Let's see if I can get a good view right there. Take this little box out, and that blue connector, disconnect this and reconnect it. Let me see if I can do that one-handed. I'll put it back in there and do it. So I gotta disconnect it, and I'm going to simply reconnect it back. Alright, now I got operation. You can hear the motor operating, transitioning. Alright, so after all the replacement, there's probably some information I'm leaving out, but I mean, again, I just want to put a name to a face. If somebody has some issues, they can go through it and diagnose this, knowing that this is a fully operative system. The solenoid is out of this motor. From what I understand, the solenoid, again, is just designed to lock this motor into place when transitioning into a mode like four-wheel drive or low or high. So I assume that the torque could potentially cause it to fall out of place. The motor you have inside of there, and then of course you have the position sensor ring inside of there also. Very easy to disassemble and reassemble. I'm going to put the video of what happened with the old one with this, so you should be able to see that shortly. And the other one, when I pulled it out, was like completely engulfed in oil. It was like filled all the way up. You know, it sits in there like this, and as much oil can fit in here, and below it was filled up with oil. So that was my issue with the original problem with this truck. But again, the guy got his own. He bought a bad new part, and it happens. But the only thing I can provide with people, like if you put a part on and you still got the same code or something related, you just potentially got a bad new part. These are aftermarket parts. The quality isn't that of original equipment, I'd assume. You know, I'm kind of iffy on that, because you can get original equipment that fails prematurely, and the aftermarket is the remedy. So it's personal perception on that one. But hey, I'm kind of over these trucks right now. I just really want to make something that was so hopefully help somebody else. But if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe link, and hopefully I'll continue to make better content. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, like a lot of stuff. I feel like I'm ranting. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, have that reassurance in my work, and so on to the next one.